The night he decided to give it all away, the city was holding its breath under a bruised sky, rain pressing down like a warning, hunger gnawing louder than the traffic. He stood on the edge of a dimly lit street with empty pockets, a thin jacket, and a heart so full it felt heavier than any fortune. In a world that had taken almost everything from him, his home, his work, his pride, he was about to do the unthinkable. And in that moment, when survival itself felt like a daily gamble, he chose kindness over fear, generosity over self-preservation, and humanity over bitterness. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of doing good even when life has been unfair, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that may be hurting right now. He had not always been invisible. There was a time when his hands were steady with purpose, when mornings came with routine and dignity, when his name was called at work and answered with respect. But a series of small disasters, an illness that lingered too long, a company that closed without warning, rent that rose while wages disappeared, had pushed him slowly, relentlessly toward the margins. Each step downward felt temporary at first, a phase he would outwork or outwait. Yet days became months, and months hardened into a life he never imagined, one where every choice was measured by hunger and cold. The city did not pause for his fall. It rushed past him in sharp suits and glowing screens, in laughter spilling from cafes, in buses that roared by without looking back. He learned the geography of survival, which alleys offered shelter from wind, which bakeries tossed out day-old bread, which security guards pretended not to see him when he lingered too long. Pride burned away quickly. Shame followed. What remained was a quiet resolve to endure, and an ache that grew heavier with each night spent counting coins and blessings that never came. That evening, the rain arrived early. The sky cracked open, and the streets gleamed like mirrors. He had earned a few coins helping unload a truck, the kind of work that bruised muscles but kept hope alive. With that money, he planned a single warm meal and a night out of the storm. He walked toward the shop with his head down, rehearsing gratitude for the simple luxury of soup, when he saw them huddled beneath a flickering streetlight. A woman holding a child, their clothes soaked, the child's shoes too thin for the weather, the woman's face pale with exhaustion. They were new to the streets. He could tell by the way she scanned the darkness, by the way the child pressed close as if the world itself were a threat. He slowed, then stopped. Hunger clawed at him, sharp and urgent. The coins in his pocket were not much, but they were everything he had for the night. He weighed the choice with the seriousness of a man deciding his own fate, because that was exactly what it felt like. The rain soaked his hair and collar as he stood there, watching the child shiver, watching the woman try to be strong when her body was giving up. Something old and stubborn stirred inside him, a memory of who he used to be, of the values that once defined him before the world stripped them away. He crossed the street without drama, without witnesses, without expecting anything in return. He guided them toward the shop, used his coins to buy the warmest food he could afford, added bread, asked for a small cup of milk for the child. The smell of it all made his stomach ache, but he focused on the relief spreading across the woman's face, on the child's hands wrapping around warmth like it was a miracle. He found a spare scarf from his bag, worn thin but clean, and wrapped it around the child's neck. When he stepped back into the rain, lighter in pocket and heavier in spirit, he felt an unexpected calm. For the first time in weeks, the cold did not feel so sharp. The night stretched on, and consequences came quickly. Without money for shelter, he took refuge beneath an overpass, where the wind cut through concrete like a blade. His body shook, fatigue settling into his bones. He told himself that kindness was not a currency the world accepted, that good intentions did not keep you warm. Doubt crept in, whispering that he had been foolish, reckless, naive. And yet, somewhere beneath the hunger and cold, there was a quiet warmth that refused to die, a sense that he had done the one thing still fully under his control. Morning broke gray and unforgiving. He rose stiff and sore, the city resuming its relentless pace. As he walked, he replayed the night, bracing himself for regret. Instead, he felt a fragile pride, a reminder that even stripped of status and security, he still had agency, still had the power to choose who he was. He did not know that his choice had been noticed, that ripples were already moving through lives he would never fully see. Across town, the woman sought help at a community center, telling her story in fragments shaped by gratitude and disbelief. A volunteer listened closely, struck not just by need, but by the detail of a stranger who gave when he had nothing. The story traveled in small ways, from desk to desk, from one compassionate ear to another, until it reached someone who believed that goodness deserved to be answered. Meanwhile, the man returned to the rhythms of survival, unaware that the day was quietly rearranging itself around him. By afternoon, his strength faltered. He sat on a bench, watching leaves collect along the curb, wondering how many more days his body could keep up. That was when a woman approached with a cup of coffee and a sandwich, offered without ceremony. She told him there was a place near, by looking for help, temporary work at first, but honest. He followed, wary but hopeful, hands trembling not from cold but from the possibility of change. The work was hard, but it was work. Someone asked his name and waited for the answer. Days turned into weeks. The job became steadier. A room followed, small but dry. Meals became regular. He learned to sleep without one eye open. The city did not transform overnight, but his place within it began to shift. One evening, as he walked past the same streetlight where he had made his choice, he felt the memory settle gently rather than ache. He never saw the woman and child again, but he carried them with him, a quiet proof that the smallest acts can tilt the world. What he never fully knew was how many hearts his kindness had touched, how many people had decided to help because he had helped first. His story was not shared in headlines or feeds. It lived in conversations, in decisions made quietly, in doors opened just enough to let someone step through. He had nothing that night, no safety net, no surplus, no guarantee, and yet he gave everything that mattered. In doing so, he found his way back to himself. If this story reached you, if it stirred something deep or reminded you of the good that still exists even in the hardest moments, please take a second to engage with this video. Like it, share it, and let us know your thoughts. It truly helps these stories find others who need them. Before the ending, we have one special request. Please comment below with if you believe that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life. He learned, in the end, that wealth is not measured by what we hold, but by what we are willing to release when it matters most. And somewhere under a flickering streetlight, in the rain, with empty pockets and a full heart, he proved that having nothing does not mean being powerless.